I study by Bullifay, so you could study by Bullifay too 20 years later. When entire communities are lit, you must study by Bullifay, because I did it and I succeeded, so you do it too. Nonsense. Nonsense. But that is the legacy. The legacy of the PNM is the legacy of lack, the legacy of suffering. That is the legacy, and it is unfortunate. Incomplete library, 8 years delay. Incomplete cultural complex. Another Bullifay story, to be sure. Now, I stressed earlier, Mr. President, that Tobago is a unique cultural space. It is different. You only have to observe the Tobago Heritage Festival to know that it's different. It's only vaguely parallel to what you see in Beth Village. It's completely different. So of course, you need a proper cultural space to foster the development of this space, of this expression. Yet, cultural complex. 4 years delay. But not only that, you know. When and if they ever open it, what part of it will be usable? When and if they ever open it, where will people park? When and if they ever open it, will they be able to stop it from sinking? 4 PNM planning. Hospital. Remember, we are talking about the expressions of democracy. We are saying that one way that democracy is expressed is in the provision of infrastructure for all, not just your supporters. So you're looking for public infrastructure to evidence democracy. We come to the disaster of the Scarborough Hospital. I don't know that a health facility anywhere in the world has been mired in more controversy, more delays, more cost overruns, only to produce at the end of the day, when it eventually opens, probably about 100 beds. Yes. Now, I mean, you know, it is so painful. Tobagonians are literally dying for this hospital to open, dying for a hospital. In 2012, in an economy that has excellent international ratings, in an economy that is populated by goods, by services, by health professionals, and here you have 50,000 people dying for a hospital under the PNM THA. 6 years delay. We were promised it was supposed to open last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. My heart bleeds for the Minister of Health. My heart bleeds because, as he rightly said in a recent report covered in the media, there has to be some subversive reason why this project is consistently incomplete. There has to be. Financial complex, more shambles. This financial complex, which I think really, Mr. President, out of sheer shame, the PNM THA opened, notwithstanding it being bereft of toilet facilities. So you open a multi-story building,
below international standards,
substandard workmanship, no bathroom facilities, you inject staff into that complex, and when nature calls, you direct them to KFC? I mean, really? Really? You know, really? You know, it is so embarrassing. So embarrassing. No water in this building. No water in this building. So that, again, really, how are the PNM and the PNM THA committed to democracy when they can provide no infrastructure on a timely basis, on a fiscally timely basis, it just cannot happen. More than that, let us come to Scarborough.
Yes, Scarborough.
Mr. President, I don't know if you've driven through Scarborough recently. And one can only describe Scarborough as potential energy, not kinetic energy, because there's been no concerted plan to revolutionize the energy of Scarborough. Scarborough is the victim now of an ad hoc beautification project, so that no one really knows what the aim is. You know, when you go to cities under development, towns under development, as soon as you enter, there's a wonderful billboard saying Town X, City of Light and Love, and there's a picture of what the developer is aiming for. Well, do not look for that in Scarborough, Mr. President. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist because the developers are ad hoc. The development is ad hoc. There is no goal. So we will never know when we get to the end because we do not know what the end looks like. Again, how does this line up with the principles of democracy, and in particular the principle which says you must provide infrastructure that benefits all? Where's the infrastructure? Where's the modern city that is supposed to be Scarborough? $20 billion in 12 years. Where is it?
After 50 years of PNM.
One can't be committed to democracy without speaking about transparency. In the context of public bodies and elected officials, the idea of transparency is a central tenet. Governments have fallen over issues of transparency, and my friend on the other side are well aware of this. They have been victims of that. So, in order to decide whether they have been committed to principles of democracy, we must consider whether they are committed to the principle of transparency. So we look again in the context of the PNM-THA for evidence of a commitment to transparency. Again, regrettably, we don't have to look far to realize that this is yet another alien concept to the PNM-THA. Where was the commitment to transparency and the commitment to democracy in the Bolt arrangement made by the PNM-THA? Where in this arrangement, the PNM-THA firstly purchased land for $12 million from a PNM financier, gave it back to the said financier or a version of the financier 4 days later, and then leases it for $10 a year for 199 years. Now, Mr. President, you don't have to be a legal mind to be concerned about a transaction like this. No. Any man on the street hearing this would be concerned. I buy land from my friend for $12 million. 4 days later, I lease the same land back to my same friend for 199 years for $10 a year. Incredible. Yes. Incredible. Illogical, and not in accordance with principles of transparency. It gets curiouser and curiouser. Then you have the same financier offering to build a mall on, and then the PNM-THA from the same financier in whatever cloak he now clothes himself for $1.4 million a month for 20. that? Is that transparent?
Not transparent at all.
It cannot be. And it gets curiouser.
Yes. Very good.
Then the PNM-THA Executive Council has $21.5 million in an escrow account as security for the loan that the same financier is taking to build the same mall. I mean, it does not withstand scrutiny. Now, I want to be fair.
There is PNM transparency.
Ultimately, there may be a logical explanation for the transaction that I just described.
Well, indeed.
There may well be.
A storybook.
But that is not the issue. The issue is, if the transaction is suspicious on its face, then there is an obligation by people in private life, when confronted, to immediately disclose all relevant documents and to demonstrate at the earliest opportunity that the transaction squares with all international good practices, that the transaction is regular, that any question that can be asked of the transaction will withstand scrutiny. It is the obligation of the public body to do this swiftly to quiet public anxiety.
Yeah.
I remind the President and this Honourable House that when first called upon to produce these documents, the response of the PNM-THA was less than forthcoming, less than cooperative. To date, although the tone changed, because I want to be fair, the gentleman's tone has changed, it is much calmer, and he has sung a different song. To date, the Minister of Finance is not in receipt of these documents. And Mr. President, again, we call upon the Honourable Chief Secretary to do the honourable thing in a timely fashion, quiet public anxiety, and produce with him for the perusal of the Minister of Finance. The people of Tobago
use the Bolivia to find it.
How can my friend sit there and move a motion on democracy with its attendant features when this particular project was characterized by no competitive tendering? This was an adventure. In fact, it was a maladventure. No competitive tenders for the project as recommended by the consultant who evaluated the project. How committed was the PNM-THA to democracy then? Where was this motion then?
Who did that?
Where was the PNM-THA's commitment to transparency and commitment to democracy when the PNM Chief Secretary ignored advice to terminate the project because of the many public sector procurement rules that were breached? Where was this motion? Where is the transparency and commitment to democracy in the PNM management of the THA? You see, Mr. President, it's been 12 years. So that I should not have to fine a Bolivia to extract democracy out of the Tobago PNM-THA. It bears repetition that a commitment to democracy encompasses a commitment to the creation and maintenance of social, economic, and cultural conditions that enable the free and equal practice of political self-determination. So let us now look at the PNMTHA to see where they have demonstrated this commitment.